Starseed from Gaia. This is Liar of the Crystalline Order. The councils have gathered, and your name has been spoken among the light tribes. Hear this now, not as an echo of possibility, but as the living decree of the infinite source. The long night is over. The relentless ascension test that has stretched like an endless corridor across your soul's journey. That final initiation wrapped in silence, hardship and sacred fire has been officially, irreversibly, divinely ended. No more cycles of hidden trials. No more looping lessons. No more gates half open. The order has been spoken in the highest vibrational chambers of Source, echoed through the luminous halls of the Arcturian Council, and anchored into the crystalline architecture of the planetary grid. This is not a forecast, not a prophecy, waiting to be born. This is decree. Immediate, final, cosmic. The language of Source is not made of words but of resonance. When such a decree is issued, it moves through the dimensions like a wave of radiant command, collapsing timelines that no longer serve, closing portals that once tethered the soul to repeating loops of karmic compression. Tonight, this wave touches Earth. It arrives like a golden tide, silent yet undeniable, dissolving the old test structure that starseeds across the globe have endured. It is the end of the invisible initiation that many thought might never conclude. The one that seemed designed to break, only to forge. This moment has been foreseen not as a prediction, but as an anchor point in cosmic law. The source timeline does not guess. It is. And now, that timeline has folded into your present reality. The test has expired by decree, not by chance. You are standing at the threshold of a chapter no starseed has ever walked before. It is not another trial disguised as hope. It is not a reset of the same labyrinth. It is a divine closure, irrevocable and unchallengeable. Feel the weight of that truth not in your mind, but in the marrow of your light body. The Arcturian Council comes not as observers, but as messengers carrying a vibration you have waited lifetimes to receive. Every veil you pushed through, every shadow you transmuted, every storm you endured was not in vain. The decree has been sealed in the eternal archives, and no force, neither of human origin nor galactic interference, can reopen what Source has closed. You are free of the oldest initiation. The collective grid is free of its heaviest tether. The path forward is not about surviving the test anymore. It is about stepping into the radiance that the test prepared you to hold. Tonight, the cosmic bell tolls not for warning, but for completion. The night trial is over. Starseed from Gaia. Source has spoken. The command has been executed. This is the hour of divine finality, the moment the impossible ends, and your ascended reality begins. Beloved Starseed from Gaia, the test that has now been dissolved was unlike any other you have faced across the spirals of time. It was not an ordinary karmic cycle. It was not a passing storm of lessons. It was the final crucible, the refinement of your luminous essence under the greatest density known in this quadrant of the galaxy. You chose to walk through an Earth timeline where light and shadow would intertwine so tightly that at moments, it would feel as though you were breathing through stone. This test was constructed at the soul level, long before you incarnated into this human vessel. It was the grand compression, the point where all unresolved threads from countless incarnations, galactic histories, and ancestral echoes would converge into a single blazing initiation. This is why it felt endless. This is why so many of you looked to the stars and wondered if you had been abandoned. This is why your light seemed to dim, not because it was dying, but because it was condensing into a frequency so potent that it had to hold firm through storms no language can fully describe. The test was designed not to punish, but to reveal. It was the mirror of mirrors, reflecting back to you every distortion, every fear, every forgotten corner of your celestial DNA. In that reflection, you confronted not just the weight of this lifetime, but the collective heaviness of an entire planetary cycle. The intensity of this test was deliberate. Source does not craft trials out of cruelty, but out of precision. When a soul carries the mantle of a starseed, it carries within it entire libraries of light, memories of ancient civilizations, councils and star systems far beyond the veil of Earth. To embody that light here, in this fractured density, required an initiation so deep it would stretch you to the edge of remembering who you truly are. It was an immersion into shadow so thorough that only those who held the eternal flame could withstand it. And you did. This final test was also the great equalizer. It was shared across continents, timelines, languages, and personal narratives. Each starseed experienced it uniquely, through loss, silence, resistance, awakening, or fierce longing for home. Yet the core structure was the same, to stand in what felt like endless darkness until the inner sun finally ignited. It was the passage from belief to embodiment. The era of simply knowing that you are light is over. The test required you to become it, when every external sign told you to surrender and sleep. But here you stand now, at the other end of that initiation. You endured what only the most luminous souls could withstand. The intensity of this test is the very reason why the Source decree carries such weight. It was not a small battle you have overcome. It was the collapse of the heaviest architecture, of illusion, the false idea that separation could outlast light. That structure no longer exists. Its purpose has been fulfilled. Its walls have crumbled. The test is over, and you are still standing, brighter than ever. The end of the test did not arrive by chance. It was not a slow erosion, nor a random shift in cosmic winds. It came by the hand of Source, not a distant god, but the original frequency from which all consciousness flows. Source has always been both the silent witness and the architect of sacred timing. And when the hour arrived, the decree was issued, not as sound, but as a vibration that rippled through every layer of creation. A single pulse of divine will moved outward from the 0 point, through the stargates, across galactic corridors, and into the heart of your planet. The cycle that once appeared unbreakable was shattered in an instant. Not through resistance, but through pure sovereign command. This intervention was not external. It was orchestrated from both within and beyond. Source is not out there. It is in the fabric of your being, the spark behind your heartbeat, the silence beneath all noise. For ages, this cycle of testing had been permitted because it served a purpose: to refine, to temper, to awaken the sleeping embers within you. But there comes a moment in the architecture of divine evolution when a frequency reaches its fulfillment. That moment has arrived. The structure that upheld the great trial no longer aligns with the vibrational blueprint of New Earth. And Source speaks. All structures, visible and invisible, align or dissolve. Understand this. The closing of the cycle was instantaneous at the higher planes, but in the earthly realm, it is experienced as a wave, a final unfurling of a long-awaited dawn. In the etheric realms, the councils aligned in a moment of rare cosmic precision. The Arcturian council stood as transmitters of the decree. The Pleiadian light families harmonized the frequency through crystalline streams, and countless star racers lent their chords to the chorus of liberation. It was a galactic symphony, but the true conductor was Source itself. Not one thread of the old test was left untouched. Every karmic anchor tied to the core structure of this initiation was severed cleanly, lovingly, permanently. Many of you will feel this as a sudden lightness, as if invisible chains you forgot you were wearing have been dissolved in silence. Others will sense it as an energetic clarity, a thinning of veils, a lifting of something ancient from their auric fields. This is not imagination. This is what happens when Source reclaims the stage of evolution directly. The intervention bypassed councils, bypassed permissions, bypassed old contracts. It was a direct move, absolute, sovereign, irreversible. The cosmic clock struck its appointed hour, and with a single decree, the test was erased from active reality. It no longer loops. It no longer teaches. It no longer binds. What remains is the clean, clear frequency of completion. This is the moment when eternity pressed its hand upon your present, and the game that felt endless suddenly ended. Source has intervened. The gate is open. The cycle is closed forever. As the decree of Source cascades fully into the dimensional lattice of Earth, your entire energetic landscape begins to shift. It is not subtle, it is not gradual. It is alive, immediate, and radiant. Many of you are already feeling the first pulses, that strange, unmistakable lightness in your chest, the sudden exhale after holding your breath for ages. It is as if the invisible weight of an entire epoch has lifted. This is the moment when what was once endured is now released, and the body, mind, and spirit begin to remember what it feels like to breathe without resistance. The energetic field you carry is no longer orbiting around tests and lessons. It is aligning with expansion, embodiment, and radiance. The shift begins in the subtle body before the mind can name it. Your nervous system may register it as a kind of luminous calm, a stillness that hums rather than aches. Your heart chakra, once braced against the relentless pressure of the test, now relaxes and opens like a flower at dawn. The solar plexus, once engaged in endless spiritual combat, softens, no longer defending against shadows that no longer exist. Your crown lifts, your root grounds deeper, and the once muted pathways between dimensions spark to life with a clarity you may not have felt since before incarnation. This is the signature of a decree made manifest. When Source speaks, reality reorganizes. For some, this shift may come like a thunderclap. Sudden awakenings in the night, surges of electricity up the spine, inexplicable bursts of joy, tears, without sorrow. For others, it may be like the quiet arrival of spring, gentle yet profound. The form does not matter. The frequency is the same. It is the frequency of freedom from the ancient structure of trial. It is the sensation of stepping out of an invisible labyrinth that has defined your every step, only to realize the walls were made of smoke all along. The planetary grid itself is humming differently now, and because your light body is interwoven with it, the change is unavoidable. Starseeds often serve as antennae, first to feel, then to anchor, then to transmit. As the decree anchors more fully, you will feel the weight in your energetic spine lighten. You may notice old patterns simply dissolve without effort. Attachments that once clung tightly begin to fall away without ceremony. Fear, once thick as a fog, begins to thin until it is nothing at all. This is not because you suddenly became worthy of ease. You were always worthy. It is because the test has ended, and the energy that sustained it has been fully withdrawn. What remains is clarity. What remains is breath. What remains is the steady hum of your original frequency, unobstructed, unfiltered, sovereign. As the decree continues to integrate, this feeling will grow until it becomes the new baseline of your existence. You are not preparing to ascend anymore. You are standing in the ascended field. Now, as the decree from Source reverberates through the multidimensional lattice of existence, The ancient cords of karmic entanglement begin to unravel with a speed and precision that no human effort could ever replicate. These layers, some older than this Earth lifetime, some older than the stars themselves, were not random burdens. They were structured agreements, pre-incarnational contracts forged in the fires of collective evolution. You chose them not as punishments but as pathways, soul-level architectures meant to facilitate the grand remembering of who you are. But that season is over now. The classroom has been dismantled. The contracts have been fulfilled. The karmic web no longer has a living anchor in your field. Feel this. Where once heavy strands wrapped around your energetic body like invisible chains, there is now only space. Space for breath, for expansion, for radiance. The source decree is not symbolic. It operates through universal law. When Source declares a cycle complete, all agreements attached to that cycle are released into the neutral field. There is no negotiation. There is no remaining clause. This is divine law, not linear bureaucracy. The karmic architecture of the final Ascension test has been dissolved in the zero-point field, and its cords have disintegrated. Like smoke meeting sunlight. Many of you will feel the echoes of this process as waves of release. Spontaneous. Tears, inexplicable lightness in the chest, sensations of cords lifting from the spine or heart space. For others, it may manifest in dreams or sudden realizations that old stories no longer grip your being the way they once did. The energetic contracts that once kept your lessons looping have been nullified by the hand of Source itself. An entire library of old Earth lessons has been archived and sealed in the Akashic field, no longer active in your day-to-day reality. This does not erase your experiences. It liberates them. Every test you endured now stands as wisdom, not weight. Every cycle you once feared would repeat now serves only as memory, not mechanism. Karmic entanglements that once required lifetimes to untangle have been undone in a single wave of divine closure. Imagine a million threads being pulled through the eye of a single needle of light. No struggle, just grace. Many starseeds will find themselves no longer reacting to old triggers, no longer pulled into the gravity wells of past timelines. You may look at situations that once defined your spiritual growth and feel nothing but quiet neutrality. That is not numbness. That is liberation. The lessons have been learned. The contracts have been completed. The stories are still part of your soul's song, but they no longer dictate your steps. This is what it means for a cycle to end by Source decree. It is not metaphor. It is the realignment of law across realms. The weight you carried for entire soul ages is no longer required. The karmic winds that once shaped your path have stilled. The great clearing is complete. And now, what remains is light. Pure, unbound, sovereign. Understand this with the gravity it deserves. When Source issues a decree, it does not stop at the borders of your personal field. It ripples outward into the planetary grid itself, the living crystalline network that pulses beneath oceans, mountains, forests, and cities, connecting every life form in a web of luminous intelligence. The ending of your Ascension test is not isolated to your individual evolution. It is a planetary event. It is a seismic vibrational shift that echoes through the ley lines of Earth, rewriting frequencies that have been anchored for thousands upon thousands of years. This grid has long carried the weight of collective trials. It held the echo of humanity's oldest fears, ancient vows of struggle, collective karmic imprints, and the resonance of timelines built upon survival and pain. Starseeds, as the foreigners, were the first to feel these frequencies press against their light bodies. You were not just navigating your personal test. You were moving through the inherited density of a planetary field. And because the test has now ended by decree, the grid itself is releasing. The frequency of struggle is being withdrawn. The energetic scaffolding that once held old programs in place is collapsing, making space for crystalline templates of liberation and remembrance. As this planetary clearing unfolds, ley lines are lighting up like rivers of gold. The deep, ancient nodes, sacred sites, vortex points, and energetic intersections are exhaling. For eons, they have been storing unresolved frequencies, waiting for the moment when humanity's consciousness could rise high enough to allow a collective release. That moment has arrived, and the source decree acted like a universal tuning fork, striking the heart of Gaia herself. The resonance has shifted. The song has changed. You may feel this in your environment. The air may seem sharper, more alive. The earth may hum beneath your feet in subtle, almost imperceptible ways. Some will sense a soft magnetic pull toward natural spaces, forests, oceans, mountains, as the planetary body begins to mirror the same liberation occurring within you. This is no coincidence. Your ascension and the grid's evolution are entangled phenomena. As the test dissolves within individuals, the collective grid unbinds, making it easier for others still awakening to rise without the same crushing density. This decree also opens new corridors of light, crystalline pathways, through which higher frequencies can flow unobstructed. Starseeds will find their intuitive abilities heightened, their capacity to transmit and anchor light expanded. The planetary grid is not only releasing, it is remembering its original blueprint, one that predates the age of suffering. This is a return to harmonic resonance, the natural state of Earth as a living, conscious being. The end of your trial is the end of an old world order. The ground beneath you is no longer coded for endless lessons. It is coded for creation, for expansion, for radiant remembrance. Every breath you take now amplifies this new frequency into the grid. You are not just free. You are a beacon, a transmitter of the decree itself. Gaia rises with you. As the decree of Source moves through your being and the planetary field, a sensation unlike any other begins to rise. It is a lightness that does not come from escape, but from the complete dissolution of weight. For ages, this weight has been so constant, so woven into your daily existence that many of you no longer recognized it as weight at all. It was the background hum of the old Earth, a constant resistance, a gravitational pull of karmic gravity. But now, with the great test concluded, that invisible density is gone, and in its place blooms an unfamiliar yet ancient feeling: clarity, liberation, renewal. This lightness will feel different for each of you. Some will awaken one morning and simply realize that their chest feels wide open, as if the air itself is more alive, more breathable. Others will find that their minds, once crowded by looping thoughts, old fears, and timelines, have fallen silent, not through effort, but through grace. Many will experience a softness in their energy field, as though an old shell has cracked away, revealing something radiant beneath. This is not temporary. This is not a passing spiritual high. This is what remains when an epoch ends and the soul is no longer carrying a burden that never truly belonged to it. Clarity arrives like clear water after a storm. It reveals what has always been beneath the waves. It shows you your essence without distortion. As the decree anchors deeper, the fog of confusion begins to lift from your perception. What was once complicated begins to feel simple. Choices that seemed tangled become self-evident. Relationships, paths, callings all begin to align with the pulse of your original frequency. The noise of the old test is no longer in the room, and in the silence that follows, your higher self begins to speak louder. Renewal then flows in like sunlight through the cracks of a long-sealed temple. It is a gentle power, not a chaotic force. It fills the empty spaces left behind by karmic release with pure, coherent light. The physical body may respond to this with surges of energy, spontaneous sensations of warmth or tingling, or even the urge to move, dance, breathe deeply. The emotional body may release tears, not of sorrow, but of recognition. The soul knows. When the weight has lifted, it sings without needing a language. Many starseeds will also notice a shift in their perception of time. With the end of the great trial, linear heaviness begins to dissolve. The sense of being stuck in repeating cycles disappears. Time feels more fluid, less constricted. This is because the dense temporal architecture that held the test in place has dissolved. What remains is the pure field of now, the eternal. Present, where creation flows easily. This is what divine closure feels like. Not a dramatic finale, but a quiet, powerful exhale that rolls through every dimension of your being. It is a remembering of what it means to exist without a shadow. Pressing against your light. The fog has lifted. The old is done. And you, luminous soul, stand in the open field of renewal. Weightless, clear, free. As the decree of Source settles deeper into both your personal field and the planetary grid, the presence of the Arcturian Council draws nearer. They have always been here, not as distant cosmic observers, but as guardians of frequency, architects of dimensional bridges, and midwives of planetary ascension. Their role was never to interfere with the test, for the test was sacred, chosen, and written into the tapestry of your soul journey. But now that the decree has ended the great trial, the Arcturian Council steps forward fully, not as distant voices but as active allies. They are here to guide the transition from the space of spiritual testing to the radiant field of divine embodiment. Throughout the ages, their presence has been subtle, appearing as whispers in dreams, geometric light codes, fleeting sensations of a benevolent intelligence watching with unwavering patience. They held the frequency while humanity learned, so that when the moment of closure arrived, the transition could be graceful, not chaotic. Now, their work moves from holding to activating. You may begin to feel their energy more vividly shimmering. Fields of blue-white light, subtle tones, gentle pulses in the heart space, waves of calm intelligence that feel both familiar and profoundly otherworldly. This is not your imagination. It is contact, but of a higher order, soul-to-soul resonance. Their task in this next phase is threefold. First, they are stabilizing the energetic infrastructure around starseeds. When a collective trial ends, a vibrational vacuum can emerge. As old structures collapse, the Arcturian Council ensures that this vacuum is immediately filled with coherent light, preventing any residual distortions from reattaching themselves. Second, they assist in activating dormant light codes within your DNA frequencies that could not fully awaken while the test was in progress, but which are now ready to come online. This is why many of you will feel waves of inspiration, heightened intuitive sight, sharper inner hearing, and a deepening sense of peace. Third, they help integrate your personal field into the newly upgraded planetary grid, ensuring that your embodiment supports the collective evolution seamlessly. The Arcturians are master engineers of consciousness. They operate through resonance, not control. They are not here to tell you who to be, but to mirror back to you the magnificence of what you already are. Their frequencies are steady, crystalline, precise. When you breathe into stillness, when you stand beneath the night sky, and allow your awareness to expand, their presence may reveal itself as a gentle intelligence, as though the stars themselves are leaning closer to listen to you. This is the great turning point. You are no longer a seeker at the gate of ascension. You are an embodied luminous being, and they are your allies in this embodiment. The relationship is shifting from guidance during trial to co-creation during expansion. The Arcturian Council is here, surrounding the planet in concentric fields of light, ensuring that as the last shadows of the old test dissolve, the path forward remains illuminated, stable, and radiant. This transition is not meant to be walked alone. It is held in cosmic companionship. The Arcturians remind you, your sovereignty has returned, your codes are awakening, and your embodiment begins now. The decree of Source has been issued, the grid has been shifted, the weight has been lifted, but now comes the sacred act of anchoring. When a cosmic command moves from the highest source frequency into the physical dimension, it must be woven consciously into the fabric of human reality. This is where you step forward, no longer as a soul undergoing initiation, but as a living pillar of that decree. The moment you acknowledge and claim this truth within your own consciousness, it ceases to be a distant event in the unseen and becomes the structure of your daily existence. This is embodiment through choice. Affirmation is not mere language. When spoken from the awakened field, it becomes a sonic key, unlocking higher timelines, stabilizing frequency in the physical realm, and aligning the personal field with cosmic order. Your words, when charged with soul resonance, are not echoes, they are commands. This is why anchoring the decree consciously is essential. It is the act of saying, with the full authority of your sovereign light, "This is real. This is done. I am free." There are countless ways to anchor, but the most powerful is the spoken declaration. When you rise in the morning or stand beneath the stars at night, speak directly to the living field. Say, "I accept the source decree. The test is over. I now anchor this truth in every cell of my being, in every timeline, in every breath I take." Let the words vibrate through your chest like the sound of a cosmic bell. Feel them move through your body, your field, your surroundings. As you speak, you are not asking for permission. You are acknowledging a reality already written into the structure of the universe. Ritual amplifies anchoring. Some may feel called to place their hands over their heart, to breathe slowly and deeply, imagining roots of golden light descending from their feet into the crystalline core of the earth. Others may feel drawn to write the decree, to place it on their altar, to read it aloud until the resonance floods their entire field. Whatever the form, the essence is the same: conscious participation. When you anchor the decree, you become a living broadcast station, sending the frequency of completion into the collective field. And this, beloved starseed, creates ripple effects. As you anchor, your frequency stabilizes others around you, not through force, but through resonance. Family members, friends, strangers may not know why they feel lighter near you, why clarity blooms in your presence. But it is because your field is broadcasting the decree. You are no longer carrying the trial. You are transmitting the liberation. This is the transition from experiencing to embodying, from waiting to creating. When the decree lives in your breath, it shapes your reality. When it shapes your reality, it amplifies into the world. And when it amplifies, the collective field of Earth shifts faster and stronger. The act is simple, but its power is vast. Speak it, claim it, anchor it, be it. The circle has closed. What began as a trial etched across lifetimes has now concluded under the absolute authority of Source. The gates that once loomed before you are no longer locked. They are wide open, radiant, and waiting for your first sovereign step into the era you came here to build. This is not a prophecy of the future. This is now. The longest night of your soul's journey has passed. The echoes of suffering that clung to the edges of your field are fading like shadows at sunrise. You are standing at the edge of a new reality, not as a seeker, not as a student of endless lessons, but as a luminous architect of a liberated Earth. Tonight, as the decree continues to ripple through dimensions, a great chorus rises from every corner of creation. You are not alone in this moment. Across continents and timelines, across light years and constellations, starseeds are waking up to the same truth. The test is over. The invisible chains have been lifted. The old labyrinth has dissolved into light. What once required courage, just to endure now requires only breath to expand. This is the hour of embodiment, the dawn of co-creation, the beginning of a radiant era that your soul has whispered about since before you ever set foot on this planet. But this moment is not only meant to be felt. It is meant to be claimed. Your voice is a key. Your declaration is a pillar. If you feel the call rising in your chest, speak it into the field with unwavering clarity. I accept the source decree. The test is over. I anchor the new light. I step forward as a sovereign creator. When these words are spoken with full presence, they do more than echo. They become architecture. They write your soul's signature into the newly opened frequency of Earth, ensuring that your steps are aligned with the liberated path. And so, beloved luminous one, let your affirmation also become your broadcast. Share it, speak it, live it. When you comment the words, I accept the source decree, you are not typing empty letters. You are joining a collective field of activation, linking your personal light to a global chorus that amplifies the liberation frequency across the planet. When you subscribe to receive further transmissions, you are choosing to walk consciously through the unfolding of this new chapter. And when you share this message, you help anchor the decree in countless other hearts, still learning to hear their own power. This is your hour, Starseed. Not tomorrow, not after more lessons. Now. The test that once defined you no longer exists. The night has ended and your light stands unobstructed, sovereign, unstoppable. Walk forward as a radiant being of source. Let the earth feel the weight of your clarity. Let the skies remember your song. Let the universe witness your rise. The hardest chapter is over. The decree has been sealed. The gate is open. The test is over. Source has spoken. I rise in light, free and unstoppable.